Renault have a long and storied history in Formula 1. They first entered the sport in 1977 with their own car and engine. The French engine was a landmark for the sport as it was the first regularly used turbocharged engine in Formula 1. However, its unreliability meant that Renault had a bad start in F1, with their car earning the dubious nickname of Yellow Teapot. It was in 1979 that they started to find some performance, picking up their first win and a few podiums. By the 80s, they became a front-running team, regularly fighting for wins. 1983 was the standout year as they even fought the championship, eventually losing out to Ferrari by 10 points. This should have been the perfect launching pad for further success, but 2 years later they were shutting up shop and their run as an F1 team ended. Their performance dropped and issues with drivers and lack of development saw them going from being a top team to a lower midfield team in a matter of months. Renault, however, would continue as an engine supplier and would see a lot more success on a regular basis on this front. Between 1989 and 1997, they would power 6 championship-winning cars. In the years they didn't win the championship, they fought for it. 1992 saw the first time a Renault-powered car won the championship, propelling Williams driver Nigel Mansell to his only F1 title. Michael Schumacher's second championship in 1995 would also come in a Renault-powered car. Despite these successes, Renault repeated their past errors and stopped developing their engines at the end of 1997. Budgetary issues and a lack of interest from top brass were touted as reasons for this boneheaded move, another recurring theme with this outfit. Renault returned to F1 as a full-fledged team in 2002, and in 3 years it built another great car that would regularly fight for wins and podiums. They won both the Drivers' and the Constructors' Championship back-to-back in 2005 and 2006, with a young Fernando Alonso in the cockpit. However, things would go downhill for the team from there, and after a few more years of lackluster performances, they would pull their team out again at the end of 2011. By this time, they had formed a very successful partnership with Red Bull. The Renault-powered Red Bulls would dominate the field between 2010 and 2013, winning 4 titles on the trot. Sadly, this too was just a phase that couldn't be sustained. The introduction of hybrid engines from 2014 marked the beginning of the leanest period for Renault. Red Bull stopped winning, and when Renault relaunched their own team in 2016, podiums would become extremely rare. Renault will be rebranded as Alpine in 2021, the name they have been competing in F1 since. During the last 3 years, they would stand on the podium just 4 times, and only once on the top step. The ongoing season has been one of their worst on record. They will finish the season no higher than 8th out of 10 teams. Formula 1 has seen its fair share of dreamers who stubbornly stuck around despite repeated failures. Names like Toyota and Yamaha come to mind. What makes Alpine's plight so frustrating, however, is the fact that they could be brilliant, but they often chose not to be. Throughout their history, they have religiously followed this cadence. They go through a few poor years, then build something brilliant, fall into mediocrity due to lack of development, and then go right back to being bad. However, their current plight is one of the worst in their long history, and despite this, there is no concrete effort to improve. The one common thread between Alpine and Renault of the past is their management, or to be more precise, their lack of proper management. Contending with budgetary restraints is nothing new. Every team in F1 has to do it. That's the game, convincing your parent organisation, which primarily has a fiduciary duty to their shareholders, not the Formula 1 fans unfortunately, that spending millions on racing fast cars is worth it. Alpine tends to do this in a rather cavalier manner. For starters, their leadership is constantly shifting and changing. Just look at their parade of team principals just in the last decade. More importantly, there never seems to be one person in charge of the F1 project. Essentially, it boils down to too many cooks spoiling the broth. The team lacks direction, and in the bleeding-edge world of F1, this is a huge handicap. The few times they have had decent leadership, the leaders themselves were deeply flawed, as was the case with Flavio Briatore or Cyril Abiteboul. They need a steady hand at the helm, but in typical Alpine fashion, they don't seem to be looking for anything like that. Drop us a line in the comments. What do you think? Can Alpine turn this mess around? In August of 2022, the then reserve driver Oscar Piastri rejected his Formula 1 alma mater Alpine, opting to sign with McLaren for 2023. McLaren at the time wasn't doing that much better compared to Alpine, and being rejected by a junior driver who hadn't even made it into Formula 1 yet showed the poor standing the team had amongst drivers. The whole Piastri fiasco would never have happened in the first place had Fernando Alonso not walked out to drive for Aston Martin, who, mind you, were in much poorer shape back then. The annals of Alpine and Renault before that are peppered with drivers who suddenly left the team on sour terms. Prior to Alonso, there was Daniel Ricciardo. Before him, there was Carlos Sainz, all the way back to Alain Prost in 1983. To be a top team in Formula 1, you need to attract and keep top talent. Given how Alpine are only getting worse at this, you see things like Esteban Ocon announcing his departure to Haas for the 2025 season. It does not bode well for any aspirations of success that they might have. The recurring theme in Alpine's story is a reluctance to change. The Renault name has enjoyed more success than most in Formula 1. However, almost all of it was before 2014. Since then, things have only gone downhill fast. Under the Alpine moniker, they have only gotten worse, and to this date there are no signs of change. It is an open secret that they will become a customer team next year, and the future appears bleaker than ever. Alpine is the textbook example of committing the same mistakes over and over again and expecting different results. Stubbornness can be a great attribute in Formula 1, but narrow-mindedness and a lack of vision means certain death. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Formula 1, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of the latest news and insights. Also, share your own predictions and thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think.